Welcome to Exploring the Ozarks, where we learn what defines the culture of the Ozarks one person, place, and story at a time. We're here with Matt Graham and David Carr at Studio One. Join us as we explore the story of today's guest. Here's Matt.
Oh yeah. Hi everybody, welcome to Exploring the Ozarks Podcast, and we've got a little bit different setup today. Does it feel comfortable though? Everybody good?
You know, I grew up on this fan bench. I feel like I should tell this story.
Nobody knew it was a van bench till now, but
how do you feel about this now, Zach?
I don't know how I feel about this.
now that he knows you grew up on
I know. I'm like,
we lived in this van. We lived
down
in this
by the
van.
river.
Down by.
I was like, I work for a school district. We got to keep this PG. So.
Well, to me, like you said on the way in, this screams Ozarks.
It
like,
really does.
Really does feel like we're in the Ozarks here.
We have that.
Barrel.
My wife made that wooden barrel. That's all paint and stuff. This is a spool. You know, how many people have a spool in the yard as a table?
More and more of them. I
and,
was gonna say.
And this is a van bench.
Yeah.
And this is an original van bench from a van my dad bought new in Arizona in 96.
Oh, it's got to be a big old
Dodge
church
Ram.
van type thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was an 8-seater.
Yeah,
so
I grew up in these. Had like 4 more of these rows in there.
No, it only had 2 rows.
You know, like people cooking in the back on a hot plate.
Yeah.
And...
No, we weren't that big of a family.
Okay.
I mean, maybe. No, we weren't.
Yeah, I did.
No.
Everybody had their own van bench to sleep on.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We took trips. We have 12, 15-hour trips in these things, and we'd have like in the back. There's this big open space for cargo, and so you'd lay down.
Oh yeah.
Take a nap.
Oh yeah.
Ignore safety laws. Whatever.
It made long trips really nice though, because I had my own bench because I was the youngest sometimes, because my siblings would have like their girlfriends with them or boyfriends with them,
right?
And I couldn't be near them, right? So I had to go to the front, and I was like, cool, I get my own big long seat then, and I'll take a nap for the next 14 hours.
Well, I'll whip out more stories about the van bench.
Good. We need more van bench
on other episodes.
Perfect.
Just in case everybody
You could have a
whole
whole series of van bench stories.
Stories from the bench.
I've got a few too, so this would be good. But we are here today,
yes,
with someone I grew up with. I think our entire lives, right? Like you were a year ahead of me, but pretty much our entire life. 13-year seniors, very proud. Nixa Eagles. He's from Ozarks, so don't talk to him.
Oh,
but yeah,
you didn't tell me that. I wouldn't have come.
I wanted you to get here
first. Why there's a
wall
wall here. There's a wall here.
Okay,
you're gonna have to go to the back of the van, but
I'm crossing the wall.
Don't do it, man. It's imaginary lines.
I'm touching him.
You need some duct tape that we can put in the middle there, but don't rub off on him. All right, he is full blown Nixa at this point, and Zac.
You'll be happy to know my brother lives in Nixa, and their family goes to Nixa Schools.
I chose appropriate.
Gosh, I like your brother. Yeah, he's a good dude.
It's a balancing act.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and cross my legs too, because I feel like I need to cross my legs while I'm at it. But yes, so Zac Rantz, Nixa through and through. He bleeds crimson red. I do too, but I live in Highlandville now, so don't hold it against me. But I'm still very Nixa at heart.
You are.
But you know, we've grown up together, knew each other, and then you decided after school to go back to the school that you spent every single day of your life pretty much for 13 years, other than the summers and the breaks. But
I think I was there too with like theater and band. So,
I was going to say you pretty much lived there. Especially theater.
Yeah,
because you guys are there a lot for theater.
Yep.
And I thought with playing sports I was there a lot, but at least I was outside.
Right, exactly.
You guys were there till the wee hours of the morning most of the time.
Yeah, it was between journalism, theater, and band. You pretty much live at the school. So.
My gosh, man.
I was a choir kid, so I get it.
Yeah,
you get it.
Yeah, but that was Ozark. I'm kidding.
Which we were better at choir than Nixa. I'm sorry. I just said it. It's true.
Okay. Oh man, it's gonna be a choir brawl sometime now that we've started, man. No.
We'll start singing off to each other.
Yeah, it'd be a singing fight. That'd be amazing, actually. But Zac Rantz, so tell us a little bit about how you went from being a Nixa school kid to working for Nixa Schools, because you don't just work for Nixa Schools. They seem like they've abused you over the years with the amount of things they make you do, but in a good way.
That describes school districts in general. I did work for Ozark and Willard as a bus driver, so
they get they're abused.
Bus drivers, they are their own saints.
They are saints.
A little halo above my head.
I really should.
Okay, so I don't feel quite as bad.
Yeah, I've been forgiven. I feel like.
Yeah, you need an award, I think, too, because that's a whole different level of people right there. They put up with a lot.
I couldn't get past the whole big van experience. I had to go to bus.
You just had to relive your childhood by getting yelled at by little kids.
That's what it was.
Pretty much. But you know what? Bus drivers don't get the credit they deserve. I will say that.
But we're talking about Zac. So tell us about you.
Well, I started off Well, we all know Vicky Trippy.
Yeah. Oh, love Miss Trippy. Thank you, Vicky.
Yes, yeah.
we love
So,
her.
like, you know, and you have those teachers that inspire you, and you decide you want to go into education. So, I honestly was going to go English and journalism. That was my plan. Become an English and journalism teacher, and just kind of follow in her footsteps.
Learn from the best.
Yeah,
there,
and
man.
stuff. You know, you have Kathy Wilson, Kathy McQueen, and you have all those people that really just inspire you as teachers. And that was my dream. And so went in, stayed local, went to Drury, and came back and taught at Nixa. And
What'd you start teaching at first? Then?
English.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
English,
Good
English
fit.
and journalism.
All
Yeah,
right.
I was like, say, yeah.
Perfect.
So started off there, and then Vicky retired, and so I kind of took over journalism kind of thing. I know, it's crazy.
Dude,
And
big shoes to fill there.
It was insane, but it was kind of cool, you know, following in her footsteps and getting to, you know, to continue the newspaper and the yearbook. And that was back when, I know this is going to sound really old, but it's back when the whole digital film transition happened kind of thing, like back in the day.
You know, we all remember this.
I know,
Yeah.
we do.
I think most of our audience does too.
Okay, that's good.
It was
So,
a big
you know.
transition.
Big
yeah.
was.
transition.
It
Like,
was,
and like
yeah.
and the yearbook went full color. Like that was a huge I know.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal. So I guess a little bit along, we kind of started thinking, hey, communication is kind of a thing that people, you know, need to know about. And so
And more too, yeah.
I know it was early 2000s, and so
Yeah.
we started doing a website, and I was, you know, kind of a little bit, and then I
Oh,
started
I'm just imagining the old like.
Is HTML code?
Yeah, HTML with
Yes.
CSS, and
Oh,
you
yes.
you'd have this one image, and
was
it's
it
all
Dreamweaver?
links.
Was it Dreamweaver?
Yeah.
I was doing straight coding in the
Software.
web,
Yeah.
the web, so
It was
you know.
it was great. So we were doing that. That was a class, and then we started doing a newsletter, and they kept adding on all these communication things, and they're like, "Hey, we kind of need a full communication program, you know, kind of thing." And so that's about when all like the rapid notification systems with like phone calls started coming out and everything else. So about 2008, we took over like kind of making a full-time communication program.
Wow.
And so
Dang.
so left the classroom. That was a weird transition.
Yeah, nothing like starting a new program at a
there's-
school
they're
like that.
Here, and it was really like us and Ozark and Springfield were the only ones that had a communication
Ozark,
program.
Ozark.
I know.
Hey,
It's
I'm
like-
surprised Ozark was
I know,
doing
like
it.
I know, like you know, we all kind of did it together, and so we're making this up as we go.
I mean,
Yeah.
I
Like,
feel like just as a side tangent, Ozark and Nixa kind of do similar things.
They
Like they
do.
kind of follow each other. Like
Yeah.
the excellence is there in both
yeah,
districts.
and it's that iron.
Yes, I
I'll
agree.
say iron sharpens iron.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
so,
and that
you know,
competition does. Yeah,
it is.
It's
It
always,
does help.
and honestly, I love that point you just made because that's how it's been since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Ozark Nixa rivalry, but it made us so much better at everything
Yeah.
to try
Yeah.
to outdo somebody. That competition was healthy.
Well, and
Well,
you know,
your competition was 5 minutes away.
Right.
You
Yeah,
could go and
but-
do stuff,
but
like
it felt like
to face the football
it was
field.
like-
yeah, but it
it's
felt like
so
Ozark was
far
so
over
far
there.
away. You know what I mean? Like
It's
because
true.
we didn't interact with them because we're like we hate you guys just by being born.
Well,
Now,
there were hills there too.
Yes,
it
there
was hard
were
to
some
go over the
hills.
hills between Nixa and Ozark.
and you know, I had a unique experience because my dad had a church in Ozark.
oh,
You know,
yes.
so it was like
Oh.
nothing but Ozark people that would go
Yes.
to that church or Rogersville people.
So
you
you wore
really
your
were-
Nixa gear. the
Yeah,
entire
I've
time.
always
Yeah.
wore my
I was going to
Nixa
say,
gear. Always.
you were preaching to the heathens.
Yes,
you really were.
and that and Ozark, it really was needed in Ozark
Thank you.
that they needed this church. But I
Can
got
tell
to know
you-
a lot
can
of
I tell you a
Ozark people.
secret, though?
so.
Can I tell you a secret?
Oh yeah.
I actually lived with a Nixa mailing address. I was
Yes.
right
Oh,
on
you're
the
You're not
border.
alone on that
I was
one.
one of those.
You're one of those.
One of
Where-
those.
Well, but it was-
Cuspers.
But this is a thing, yeah.
Yes.
Like you
It
can
is.
literally pick because I think the school boundaries is like in our backyard.
Well, it was. It's okay. So this
Yeah.
We're gonna get some like Ozark's history here.
All right.
But
this is
good.
what the show's about.
I know,
It's perfect.
but it like so many things pop. It's where the entrance is, and it's whose farm it was.
Oh.
And so all those people would come
Oh.
in, and they would buy like multiple like farms.
Yeah.
But all these land like dividing lines and
Yeah.
everything else were made back in the like 1800s,
Yeah.
1900s.
And people then owned maybe 1,000 acres.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
be, you're not going to Ozark,
And so
you're going to Nixa.
those boundary lines were set. Well, then
Yeah.
a developer comes in and they buy like this farm, and they join them together for a subdivision.
Yeah.
And so
Where does the school district
Yeah,
go?
and then you kept
Yeah.
choosing.
And so like the entrance is in Nixa, but
Yeah.
but like nobody's given up, the boundary lines.
Yeah.
So it's like,
And
yeah.
that was us, yeah, because
Yeah.
we had Nixa address, but
Well, that's like
those are
still where
schools.
I'm at in
Yeah.
Highlandville.
Yeah.
Even. So Highlandville gets a mix of all of
Yes.
that because even over on the 160 side,
Yes.
over by Riverdale or Riverside, I'm sorry, Riverdale. Yes. even where like that church is, there's still pockets that are Ozark through there.
Yeah. It's in it. Yeah. Well, there's like a Highlandville
address maybe,
like
or phone number,
Nixa address,
Ozark School District.
Ozark School District.
Yes,
that is confusing.
That's
crazy.
Literally a quarter mile up my hill from my house is the Ozark School District.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll still have a Highlandville address. You'll still have a Highlandville phone number.
Yeah.
Some people have an Ozark phone number.
Well,
It's
we
just
have to
so
measure.
weird.
Like we literally have to measure someone's house and go. Because it's like right in the middle of their house.
Is it big enough to go to Nixa Schools?
Well, no, it's what percentage is in what school district.
Oh wow!
This kind of explains now because they have that legislation at the state that's like trying to make it so that you can choose which school districts you go to.
Yeah,
maybe
If
this
you're
is
on that
part of
cusp
is this
or
addressing part of this problem? Like, is this why this came about? Or
no,
it's probably mainly because parents want to go to certain schools.
Yes, yeah.
You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if this kind of influenced it.
No,
like
this has
issue
nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay.
Surprisingly, people do choose to go to Ozark.
Yeah, I know. It's like
I'm just ragging.
I know. I was like, oh my, like I'm like
Just because
You know I love you,
the
man.
jealousy, I'm just feeling it.
That's what
I'm
it
like,
is.
I'm like, I can leave if you guys need to duke it out for a minute, and then we can come back.
No,
You
we're
know,
good.
whatever
We
else.
do this all the time.
Wait.
Oh yeah. There it is. That's my sick voice. So it works pretty good.
I do want to say though, I mean, we do need to get back to Zach.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I mean, it would be really interesting one of these days to like talk about rivalries between different schools in the Ozarks. Because
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not just
Well,
Ozark and Nixa. You
No,
have
but
all these
things have
different
things have evolved.
Yeah.
And that would actually be a really good topic to kind of look at, because you have rivalries that used to be like when we were in school. Those school districts have changed a lot, just because like we're now. When we were in school, Kickapoo was you would think.
I still
but
remember
now,
that.
but like now it's a Nixa Ozark Kickapoo, like kind of like
Isn't Kickapoo in the COC now? Is that
yes.
right?
Okay, yeah, they just redid
Which is
it
wild
all.
to me. They just redid the
I'm
COC
kind of
conference.
concerned though. What I'm hearing here is that Ozark and Nixa are friends.
Yeah. Well,
Yes,
Yeah.
I know, it's crazy. I know.
Yeah. We're no longer, and I'm going to say this with hopefully no kids listening, but there's probably no big giant. He's got the beeper.
I was gonna say
there's no more big giant penises being burned into your football fields anymore.
Well,
I didn't get
gotta go.
bleeped, so that's good.
So
Anyway,
That did happen, and it
that
wasn't
was
me.
actually my senior year. That was 2005-ish, I think.
Okay, I was long gone.
2004,
Thank God.
Yeah.
So that was
That
bad.
was,
Sorry,
that
you
was
do
bad.
teach at school.
I was like,
this was truth though.
but I was teaching at that time.
Oh, so you remember all this?
Yes, I remember all this because we, as the teachers,
man.
had to
Had to deal with the aftermath.
Yes, we did.
Oh my God.
So-
Well,
So
luckily now
just-
they have artificial turf fields,
Yes.
so you can't really do those anymore.
Right.
Well, you
I mean-
can,
Well-
and it costs a lot more.
But I think more kids
Expenses,
probably have
yeah.
more respect for the amount of money that it would take, because
I
back
think-
then they would just try to cover it up with new grass, and that
Didn't
didn't
work
work.
out.
I think that we just the leadership at the time of the two schools came together on a peace treaty summit sort of thing.
That's what I'm imagining now, is coming together at a table.
I'm seeing togas and stuff, and just
okay,
like
I'm like, yeah,
peace. We want. It's gone too far.
Yeah,
it's gone
everybody.
too far.
Yes,
It's gone too far.
No,
Yeah.
I think that actually was the high point of the rivalry. It's somewhere
Yeah.
around that time.
We're like, this has gone too
This
far.
is-
Well, and you
enough.
got to think too. A lot of people that either grew up in Nixa or Ozark, due to housing shortages or whatever, have moved districts because
Yeah.
of just the way life works. Sometimes,
Well, and
I
my-
have good friends like Jordan Henderson. They moved to Ozark because that's the house they wanted, right?
yes. Oh yeah.
So yeah.
well, and my sister-in-law, she grew up in Nixa. My brother grew up in Ozark, and they got married. It's like a Romeo and Juliet story.
Hey,
Wow.
Star-crossed lover.
I know, and then now they're going to Nixa though, so it just tells you.
Oh, I know
Who's
who
in charge
won then.
there?
That's
Yeah,
good.
no.
Good. No, who's in charge?
Excellence in action. So
I've heard a lot of good things about Nixa. So going back to
Yeah.
that though, yeah, I mean the two districts are friends now.
Yeah,
and both are really good.
Yeah.
I mean honestly.
well, and like, I mean, you just look at this. I mean, even with that too, this whole region has really kind of tried to take the best of what every school district's like good at and
Yeah.
really like share, because
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about making sure our kids have a bright future. And so
Absolutely.
that's where a lot of the, like, even the COC in when it was all athletics, just the reorganization of that, they've really been focusing on a lot of academic stuff here.
Good.
And so
That was never the drive, though.
no, like,
growing
I mean,
up.
like, it was always like,
It was always football.
It was always,
Yeah,
it was
baseball,
always
basketball.
And so, like, if we're really going to do this, then what is this school district really good at, and what can they teach?
Love that.
Another school district.
That's actually
and stuff.
interesting,
And so
'cause-
That's the best part about it.
I actually, so like talking about the drive of the sports.
Yeah.
So I was actually an all-state choir kid. Like I actually achieved that big
That's a
thing.
big
which,
deal.
It is a big. It is a big deal. Yeah, I feel like I want to tout on
You can
myself, but I'm
brag.
trying not
You
to.
can brag.
But yeah,
No, you can brag.
but what was interesting is like a couple
We'll give
years
you a gold
ago.
star. It's
I
fine.
appreciate it. But going to what you're saying though, like that new focus on like everybody needs to like rise up and improve. Like I actually got contacted a couple years ago because they were like, hey, can we get a headshot so we can put your plaque up here with all the other all-state like sports teams.
Yeah.
And so
Choir
they're
Hall
actually
of Fame.
taking that time to, not only recognize people in sports, but everybody that accomplishes something
That's
inside the
awesome.
school districts. So
and that's just
That's
what
amazing, though.
that's a good example of like,
what we've been able to do is really kind of hone in on the idea of not every kid's going to go to college, not every kid plays sports,
Right.
but even with like Nixa, like we're finding like right around 75+% of our kids are involved in some sort of extracurricular activity.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
Dang.
and just from an education standpoint, the more time that you're in school, the better your grades are. Like that just the more that's just a flat out
The more
fact.
time you just spend at school, period, with extracurricular.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, but kids are more likely to be in school the more they're involved in school.
Right, absolutely.
And so as education evolves and looks at like what can we do, we have to find all those programs out there to make sure that, like we have chess clubs, we have archery, we have bass
I would have loved
fishing.
archery club.
they
trying
do
to-
really well too, actually.
Yeah. And so like we're having to be like, hey, we need this facility for our archery team, which I would have never thought back in
No.
the 90s
Yeah,
we
no.
would have like had that as an, as an
Right.
option.
That's amazing though. That's
Yeah, we would have
awesome.
to go off site
Yeah.
or find somewhere to go to
Yeah,
do
or
that.
it wasn't even an option. I
Yeah,
mean,
true.
you wouldn't have the class sizes
Yeah.
to do that.
Well, that's the, like when I was in
Interesting.
school, I didn't do sports, but I did martial arts.
Right.
But that'd be really cool, like if that kind of stuff got more
Yeah.
involved inside the
A martial
actual
arts club or something.
programs
Yeah,
inside the
and,
school.
and
Yeah.
what's really great is our activities directors are really looking at, like, they do surveys regularly to kind of figure out what the kids are looking
That's
for.
great.
Yeah.
And so what
Are you getting more BattleBots requests?
we actually have a robotics team on JRTC as a
I'm not
robotics
surprised.
program.
Oh, wow.
And so they have that, and then
great.
I'll tell you one cool. JRTC has like a lot of cool stuff. They have drone pilots.
It's the military.
And then I know, but they do that, and then they
Drone
actually have
stuff.
a cyber crime or cyber
Cybersecurity,
contest.
cyber criminal stuff, yeah.
And so they do that, and they're really good
Yeah.
at it. And so like we've seen them advance pretty far.
That's awesome.
That's
and everything.
great. They're
And so-
ahead of it because we need that stuff, and usually
do.
we're behind the curve
Yes.
on that.
Well,
now
what-
you're putting it. You're making the curve.
Well,
at
they're
this
having
point.
fun with it.
That's
Like it's
awesome,
like
though.
hack into the government. It's like and see that's their
Here's
job.
permission.
Yeah,
Yeah.
permission, and try to do it.
Well, and the
But-
nice thing, what I love about this is, like you said, not everybody wants to go to college or needs to, and all these other activities and things like Ozark has like a mechanical program that's for repairing cars and putting
Right.
out like tradespeople and like cybersecurity. You can turn that experience into an actual job.
Right.
I mean, that's what we need in these schools around here is to prepare people for getting a job.
It might spur
If they don't
something
go
in
to
them too
college.
to
And,
want to go to college.
I'm,
to
Yeah,
do it.
exactly.
I'm just gonna say,
Yeah.
like, I may have Aetos on my shirt for today, but like that's a whole thing that we can talk about. But
Yeah,
we're
we
giving
will.
our kids like career experience working on national productions,
Yeah.
which is again being a theater kid from Nixa. I would have never thought that.
I was
but
in
I've seen,
theater in Ozark.
Yeah. But
cool.
something like
So
This was right after they built the new theater too at the new high school.
Oh, yeah.
like we had this college level theater.
Oh,
there.
dang.
I was
See, we were
backstage,
right
so
before
I wasn't-
Nixa got their new
Yeah.
theater.
I went to a production
Yes.
of the Music Man over at Nixa.
Yes.
It was amazing. I mean,
Was that
the
at the
department was
Aetos Center,
amazing.
though?
No, this was
Okay.
back in
no, this is
2004.
this is way back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
okay.
super impressed with it.
Nixa got the new theater. When we call new theater, we're talking like 2000 new theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like Ozark, and they had their new theater had like one more seat than Nixa's.
Oh, what?
had.
Yeah.
And they
I
made
actually remember
sure
that.
that it had, so they could say ours is
Oh,
bigger.
I remember
Yes.
this now.
Oh, yeah. It was
okay.
all, again, go back to the
I
rivalry. It
remember
was like
that.
one more seat
and
and everything.
I remember this,
So
yeah.
it was a whole rivalry.
Well,
But-
and when you go back to those days, though, you're talking guys. One of the biggest people that no one really knows about is Bill Townsend.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Still friends with Bill, even though I gave him so much hell in high school. Bill, I think I've apologized before, but I think I need to apologize again if you're listening. Back in Stagecraft,
Yeah.
oh my God, Stagecraft was the best class there ever could have been. Besides,
I like Stagecraft.
Well, we did TV
yeah.
and video production too, which I don't. Do they still do?
They
TV
still
and
do.
video
And
with the
well,
announcements.
we
and all
didn't
that?
Well,
do
no,
that.
they're not. They're doing the live broadcasts of the games.
Oh wow.
So
Jeez.
no, not only are they doing like TV video, but they have a whole like video production truck.
Wow.
And they do its whole like ESPN
That's really
like
cool.
style
That's
thing
wild.
now. And so like they're getting, I think last year it was millions of views that they had of all of the sports broadcasts. I'm surprised you've not
I
seen
need to
it.
listen to that.
Well,
then.
just go onto the YouTube
Yeah.
page and you can see the rebroadcast.
I'll do
stuff.
that. That's
But they
amazing.
have the graphics and stuff.
And the kids are doing the announcing and everything.
Yes, they're doing the commentary,
From front to
everything.
back. That's
And so now they've expanded to like cameras on the field during the football game.
Oh, wow.
And like it's a full, and so they're in the truck, they're doing the calling of like the shots and everything else.
Rosters and knowing everybody's names and all that stuff.
And so like what we're seeing is like it's funny because on those games, when away games, obviously the viewership goes up like crazy.
Right.
But then, like, even on the home games when it's like raining or everything else, everybody just logs in online. Like we can see like this correlation.
So it almost goes up.
It goes up on like those days. So it gets really cold, and you see all the
Views start
That is
going
so
up.
cool.
Yeah, but they're getting real world experience.
Oh, yeah.
Like, but I'm like,
It's invaluable. Man.
well, like,
Extremely valuable.
Then
yeah.
they can go on to college and like work on those collegiate level games, because college
Heck, they could go and get a job right away with
They
that
could.
experience.
I know.
I mean, producing
4
football
years of
games
doing
or
it when
sports.
no one else has been doing that.
Oh yeah,
applying.
like it's
Yeah.
insane.
You could
this
get a
the
job,
level.
right away.
And you can just see how it's grown every single year. Because I mean, I remember we started it in like my department as like a part-time thing where like somebody had like a Sony camera that they literally followed the ball back and forth, and we plugged into the announcing. And so now they've gone to where like it's just our students are doing the announcing full, and so they're doing it and every year they're trying to expand it to more and more sports and more and more coverage, and then they're doing more and more, just kind of keep expanding it.
Good for them.
That's
It's been
really
crazy to
cool.
see.
Yeah, because
So,
we did like the announcements, and then
Yeah.
we did some really
that's
killer.
that's really old school.
It is, but we took it up a level because the guys that I was in there with Willie and Jordan and Dustin Parker and some other guys that were really key ingredients to that. We actually did some really cool stuff where we would like remake the trailer for Reservoir Dogs. And Officer Loveland, thank God he's retired now. Because with that poor guy, I think one dude actually got arrested one time when we were actually out getting ready to shoot at Reservoir Dogs because we had fake guns.
Yes.
And
That's a real thing.
doing inventory of the guns while you're driving to the shoot, and then one gets flashed and somebody gets called in, and we may or may not have had a Nixa police uniform in the truck, and they didn't question us at all about it. Right?
I was gonna say,
that was where it went. But
there seems to be a lot of incrimination that's been going on.
I'm going to stop talking about this.
Well, this is actually probably a good place to say it's time to take a break. When we come back, we will be talking more about the Aetos Center.
Yes,
this
the
week,
Aetos Center.
it'll be
which is
great.
really why you're here in the first place.
It's so good.
So we'll be back.
We'll be back.
Isn't this pretty cool? I thought we'd just go ahead and test this out. And what do you guys think? Yeah? You liking it? How about you? Cool. Well, potentially a new Exploring the Ozarks setup. I guess we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, we're back now. I hope you enjoyed that little break. And now that we've got,
We had a small little fight out in the hallway, but we've settled it.
very minute glimpse into my high school career. So much more to unpack on that.
I was
But we're
gonna
going to
and
leave
to
that
say,
one. You still have to represent Nixa.
I know. I was gonna say, I'm like, there's a whole lot of things that it's just best left
I think
unsaid.
statute of limitations was.
I will
mentioned.
say this, though, as we transfer over to the Aetos stuff, is it is good to hear like all the improvements and everything that the Nixa and Ozark schools and everybody's doing to like better look out for the kids and give them more. And the Aetos Center is another one of those things that have been provided in Nixa to
because
give them more real world experience.
Because the way I've looked at this Aetos thing is first when it came out. I mean, I know the Bertrams really well, and they're awesome people, huge hearts.
They saw the vision
That's the hard part about anyone, and not to be specific to anybody in Nixa, but Nixa is not really about forward-thinking or bringing in the classes that are about theater. It's mainly about sports. I'm not gonna lie. It always has been.
It's not just Nixa.
Well, no, but see, like I actually disagree with that.
But when we were in high school,
when we were in high school,
it got bigger, much faster.
Yeah,
and that's back to Bill Townsend.
But I mean, but a lot of this stuff, it's a lot of the behind-the-scenes things that have been coming through, and that's what's been cool. Seeing it grow from just like when we were in school to this is like the kids are having national awards, international awards that they're coming out with all the time. Wow. And so it's just kind of crazy. And that's where like when Aetos was even being talked about, and Meridian Title, like shout out to them for seeing the vision to begin with and doing like that naming rights sponsorship for the performance hall. But like when this was getting talked about, like the school board kind of said, well, what else can we do? Because that's a like kind of a Nixa question to go, we're going to build a new performing arts center in Nixa, but what else could we do? And so they started going, well, what if we made it a national venue? And I'll like
that's beyond what I would ever imagine for that.
So we're like, all right, so like let's just do it.
Yeah.
And so
which is needed not just in Nixa but in Springfield in general.
Really this area. There's not like the Gloys it's about the same size as Aetos on the inside. Yeah. And so but like it's a old theater, and so they can't house some of the same productions that we can bring in. Right. And so and then they can do stuff that we can't. And so it's a great just something else that's not like a Hammond's Hall size for a lot of these performances.
But it's another option.
It's another option
for some super cool performances.
How big is Hammond's Hall?
Oh,
it's like 6,000 seats.
No, it's like
180K.
It's like I think it's like 2,000 to 3,000.
2,000 to 3,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is still the biggest one. I mean, not the biggest.
Yeah, because Galois is
stuff,
1,200, I think.
It's
15.
Or 1,000 or something.
No, it's 11, right around 1,100.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So because we're within like a few seats of each other is what we are. So
you have one more.
we have more. Yeah, it's like so.
One extra.
We have two.
But I know we've had like Broadway traveling shows go through 180K. And
yes.
stuff.
Oh, big time.
And so, but some of those, 180K is too big for some of the shows.
Oh.
Just because, and I didn't know that. Like I've learned a lot as we've gone through this.
You didn't think that'd be a consideration.
There's some shows like they need a certain size theater just for the production or whatever else. Certain performers, like want something they need a minute. They won't do below a 2,000 seat performance hall, and some of them they need something 1,500 and below, and that's just what we're learning. So we were trying to find another school district that was doing this because we were going to copy them, and no one else is. Yeah. So we're like, all right.
So is the Aetos Center part of the Nixa School District?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So the Aetos Center for the Performing Arts is actually attached to the high school.
Just so you know, I know nothing about this. So I'm just going to ask you all these questions.
It'd be great. It'd be great. So it's attached to the high school, but what we've learned,
like actually attached, to the high
literally
school?
attached to the high school,
on the same ground.
Did you guys get rid of the old theater?
It is now the band room.
Oh, okay.
You need to come down there.
That's what I need to come see.
Yeah, just because it's so surreal to walk in there and be like, there's a theater in here.
So what's nice is you have this like national level quality theater that you're actively trying to get national level acts, I'm sure, trying to come in. But you also have the Nixa School parking lots all there.
Yes.
I mean, you have
so we have
football fields right there.
All set up.
Yes, it's all like and like Evangel, plays at our football field until they get theirs built and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so we've got kind of this like mini college level, like small college level campus going on.
It's next level.
And so
what's weird though is like you look at the college campuses, they don't typically have a lot of big performing acts there. Like Hammond's Hall feels like it's an outlier. It's on MSU, but it's like its own thing.
Yeah.
And
it is.
And that's the arts in this area is like people love the arts. And that's what's been nice is to kind of see people once they get it, and we've had to learn how when we talk about it, we've had to not mention it's on the school district property. Because you hear Nixa High School and you immediately stop because you think it's like
poor quality, little high school quality.
Not poor. Have you been to a Nixa theater production?
Yes, I have. I liked it.
Okay,
but I'm just saying to the general public, when you hear high school theater, you say to yourself, why would I go there for a weekend for a date or something?
Lots of thought went into this part because this is where you would get lost very quickly.
Right. And so a lot of the marketing and everything else, like you can't see the rest of the high school just because of that.
Smart.
And so once people walk in the door, they go, and that's a consistent thing that they go, I get what you're doing.
Yeah. Is it run by the school district or is it run by
it's run by the school district.
Okay.
Yep. And so the idea behind it is we can probably get about 10, maybe 15 national acts a year in.
Yeah.
And so it's just to one keep tax dollars local. So if people don't have to travel to Kansas City, St. Louis to see these same shows. We're getting them from Kansas City, St. Louis.
Yeah.
They're staying in Nixa, possibly. They're eating there.
Plus, you're bringing people. Regional people are coming in to spend money in Nixa.
And so we've really partnered up with the Ozark Chamber, the Springfield Chamber, the Republic Chamber, the Branson Chamber, Hollister Chamber, all these different chambers, because they see that like if people can like eat local, do the shopping local, everything else, and then come to the performance locally, it keeps those tax dollars here.
Well, and here's some numbers for you. The Springfield Regional Arts Council, they did their report, and they talked like there's like $89 million spent in the arts here in the region.
Wow.
And one of the fun numbers to look at is if you have a person spending money locally, it's something like a $28, $30 average. If you look at bringing people in, like probably regionally, but also a bit further out, it's like a $30, $40 spend. So bringing in those people to that area, like you said, instead of going to Kansas City, St. Louis, you're bringing in all that extra revenue.
So fun fact.
Yes, I love fun facts.
Based upon the 2023 numbers, Aetos has been able to inject almost $250,000 into the local economy.
That is
Holy
awesome.
smokes,
by the national performances.
Wow.
So
that's not including your productions that you.
No, that's not the high school. This is just the national shows.
That is amazing.
And so as we come up on the 1 year anniversary in February, it's just been kind of crazy just to look back at that. And that was just that's
just your first year, dude.
That was not like 10 months.
Right. Yeah.
Like that was it.
True.
And so like of productions. And so like we're excited for like the season 2, which will end in June of 24. And then we're already booking season 3, and we actually have a season 4 show booked that I can't contractually talk about yet.
Okay. Like Priscilla was when you guys got her.
Yeah.
Nobody could talk about it.
Like nobody could talk about it until like a very particular date.
Which is super cool to me because now the movie has gotten big.
Yes.
And what's really cool about that, even to go back, is the girl that plays Priscilla is up for all these Golden Globes and probably the Oscars eventually.
Yes.
And she's from Springfield.
Yeah.
And
I thought you were going to say Nixa.
No, she's from Springfield.
I wanted to say Nixa.
She's from the Nixa region.
Yeah.
There we go. The Nixa region now. Yeah, I love it. So a couple questions with this.
Ask away.
One I was going to ask is, what is the split between national acts and then also like the school using the theater?
Oh my goodness. There, I would say it's like 99% of the things are school student productions in that facility. Right. And
so it's not booked out every night.
It's not booked out every night for national shows, but it's booked out about every night for like all of the school stuff going on.
Sure.
So like, because you got to think like it's an educational environment. So like when you hit, let's say like mid-October, they've got to start building the set for stagecraft.
Right.
You start building the set for the November production, and so that becomes a classroom. Yeah. And then they're doing choir performances and everything else.
So on average, then how often do you have a national level act coming through?
About once a month.
Once a month.
That's nice.
That's still a lot.
It's still a lot. And it's just, and that's on top of like everything else we're doing. And so it's like, marketing that and getting people in and everything else. And so like for the rest of this year, we have a few more shows until the end of April, and then we'll kind of get all this stuff, and then you've got all the end of the year theater or not theater productions because they're done, but choir
theater
and bands
season,
and everything else, and stuff. And so you've got all that done, and then we get everything ready to go for the summer.
So walk me through the facilities. Like we've kind of talked about general size.
Actually, you started the outside because the outside
is insane.
Like,
is that where that
beautiful.
statue went? The eagle statue?
No, that was at OTC.
Right. That was
but
OTC.
I'm sure you guys could probably talk to Jacob, who's a former Nixa Eagle graduate, and he could build you a new eagle and put it up there.
So the front of the building, it's this.
So I drive into the parking lot,
and you see this big red glass wall.
Okay.
And that's Aetos, and so it is this beautiful facility.
And the other side is concrete.
I'm imagining like 40-foot tall.
It's
giant
at least
red.
it's at least 80.
Cannot miss it.
It's pretty good size.
Yeah, you cannot miss it when you pull in the parking lot. And you walk in, it's this beautiful lobby. I mean, it's
got beautiful stairs that go up to take you to the balcony, but the stairs even have a super cool handrail. The stairs are pretty. There's just architectural features that really
it actually it won the Springfield Contractors Association Design Team of the Year award for 2023. So
awesome.
So like shout out to them and all their visionary.
Yeah, I feel like you're probably going to give us pictures of this too.
I will.
Yeah.
So you're going to see this as we talk about this.
It's cool because when you walk in, it doesn't feel as big as the Galois. When you said that was kind of shocking to me because it feels more homey. It feels more like the
Galois
theater.
has that big front entryway.
Yeah, and it
sounds like this one goes right in.
Ceilings, and it's got the architectural design everywhere, but it's older, so it's got more ornate stuff.
It was a
This is
movie
more-
palace. I
This
know
is
something
almost
about the
more
noise.
futuristic.
Well,
looking,
Yeah.
and
you
I'll
know?
take
It looks like this in like a big, huge, 50-foot by 100-foot wall. Like it's
in our
What I'm
performing-
hearing here is that the design in here is so good.
Yep.
I'll get the architectural design award
Yes.
next year.
eventually.
You just put that in and see
I'm
what
just-
happens.
Yeah.
So
Please vote for me.
We moved our table out of the way for
We
that.
moved the table. There's LED strips up here.
on,
Anyway,
guys.
it
Well,
does sound awesome though.
It is.
I
Our
mean,
performing arts teachers were the ones that really helped design it. So you have band, choir, theater. So
it's custom made for these
Yes.
sorts types of things.
Yes.
It's cool that you let them have that input.
well, like, but I mean,
Who better to give you that
yeah,
input?
because
you know?
because designing it for a theater class is completely different than designing it for choir and band.
Yes.
And so when you're in the balcony, which is weird to say that we have a balcony,
Mm-hmm.
but like
That is.
when you're in the balcony, like the sound is just as good as if you're on the floor.
That's
and
impressive.
that's what's really nice. And so that was like, so we're bringing this in, and so it's great when we get these national acts in because they go, this is at a high school, like they just don't get it. And then
I bet. I've wondered that.
Yeah, it's like this is like, oh, and then they have the experience. But I mean, we've had everybody from like Mike Super's coming back for the anniversary show, but he was on America's Got Talent and Phenomenon. Illuminate was on America's Got Talent. They're the ones with they're in Vegas. They're on the strip in
the
Vegas.
guys that dance and they've got the light up
Yeah.
suits and
Yeah.
all that.
Oh,
that
yeah,
one's
yeah.
super cool.
Yeah, and this
Outrageous.
outrageous.
It
yeah.
looks awesome. I know it's
They're
having some
rescheduled because of weather and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But then we had silhouettes from America. We kind of had America's Got Talent, American Idol theme going on.
That's good, though.
kind
Lots of
so
talent
which is
there.
fine. But we've had that. So it's just been great to see like how we're able to evolve. And the conversations that we've had with all of the agents for season 2 and season 3 have been completely different because, fun fact,
They talk to each other.
I
What?
know, yeah, I know. But we've had 14 states in Canada buy tickets for the shows at Aetos.
Wow.
Whoa.
So not
Well, that was so. This is something that I was going to ask you, like,
Yeah.
how do you get these acts? Because I remember having to talk with Jeff Steele at the Galois.
Yes.
And he's talking about how they're now getting these big acts
Yes.
there. But he's like, initially when I started out,
Yeah.
everybody was like, nah, why would I
Well,
come here to Springfield?
exactly.
Why
Well,
would I
that's
show up at Springfield?
When we started finding out about the tier system
Yes.
in entertainment,
Yeah.
that makes sense, but it is
Yeah.
weird to hear that there's, you talk about A-list actors.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you go, it's just like that with bands.
Right.
It's just like that with theater
Well,
productions.
and that was the
It's
fun
A,
thing.
B, C, D, you know?
And now we get all these A-list actors saying like, "Oh, I want to be at the Galois." Like Weird Al Yankovic actually requested to come
Yeah.
back
Yes.
during
Yeah.
his tour
Yes.
because he's like, "I love the space," and they get that all the time.
Right.
I get the feeling the Aetos is going to become very similar.
And
Once that word gets around,
And once
yeah.
we're starting to get that because you'll have like the booking agents and then the people come into the facility and then they report back to them and then they call, hey, so and so heard about X, Y, and Z.
and then
so,
the agent's like, hey, this might be a good venue
Yes.
for you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
holy smokes.
and so
Especially if you're between St. Louis and Oklahoma City and you have
Tulsa.
a weekend to do something.
Yeah, and-
That's
well, because all these
kind of
great
still where
bands come around here.
Yeah.
they're passing through.
They're just going up by
And that's the
70
thing.
or they're going down
Yeah.
to Tulsa or whatever.
we have to work with the reality of the art situation around here, which is we don't have a big enough scene yet to keep these people permanently, but we can definitely make it very welcoming to come here for a weekend, have
And
a
it's
couple
not
days
Branson too,
performances.
which I love.
And it's not
Branson.
Branson.
It's just a different entity.
And it is. And really what it is, it boils down to what are people in this local area going to come and buy tickets to?
Yeah, exactly.
And they used to figure that out. And then those are the shows that we book. And so
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the shows
Okay,
you've got there.
okay.
So this will probably air after Priscilla Presley.
we got
is
Priscilla
here.
Presley. Yes,
But that-
legitimately Elvis Presley's ex-wife
Right.
is coming to Nixa, Missouri.
And from what I
Wow.
heard is she's coming to do things that aren't ever spoken about in her life with Elvis.
She's got videos.
She's got
and-
behind the scenes footage of them at home that no one's ever seen.
it's-
She's got
it's crazy.
stories that no one's ever heard, memorabilia
Wow.
that no one's ever
We're
seen.
and at this time of recording, we're almost sold out. So,
Oh, good.
so I'm wondering if we'll be sold out by the time this airs.
well,
So,
I'm hoping we can get it out sooner, maybe, or something.
You never
because
know.
That's
we,
awesome.
we can always place an ad on the Facebook page just to let people know.
Well, because
people
I'm
know.
sure she was nervous too. I mean, she's Priscilla Presley.
Yeah.
So, like, you think she'd be doing this in L.A., things like that.
she
probably was.
She was in Vegas.
Right,
and
she's
then
on tour, is that right?
Well, it's not. It's kind of a tour. Like it's kind of like a mini thing that she's doing. So she's doing select dates. So we were really honestly. lucky to get this.
Man. Very lucky. But
Well, as long as you're actively looking for it, that's the big thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
you guys,
go
I'm
out
sure
there.
you're.
Well,
you're
I think it's kind of a
tracking people
byproduct
down.
of things you didn't know would happen.
Exactly.
You know? And now all of a sudden you've got Priscilla Presley, who's one of the biggest names ever, right? Mike Super, who's magic and illusion guy.
Yes.
And I remember him too, and he's phenomenal to watch live.
Yeah.
That's February 17th.
That's
Priscilla
our
Presley.
1 year anniversary.
That's
show.
the 1 year anniversary show.
Yes.
Is you said he was the first one.
He
that
was the
performed
great
there?
opening act, and so
Okay.
we invited him back. He's got a brand new show. Like last year, he made a car appear on stage.
Oh God.
Oh wow.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that
No
happened.
big deal?
No big deal. Like not at all. And so like this year he's got all new things coming in for that and everything. And then we've got our biggest show to date was for the Christmas show with Jeremy Camp and New Song, and Priscilla Presley's now surpassed that as the biggest show. And then we've got Jordan Felice and Colton Dixon. We got some more like American Idol voice kind of
Love and Light tour.
That's cool.
Yeah.
David Archuleta's
awesome.
had a big name since he was on American Idol.
Well,
right?
and then he was just on The Masked Singer and everything else.
Oh,
And
so he's got some momentum going.
He's got a moment, and so he was on this last year, and so he's coming back, and
that's just through April.
that's just through April, and we're getting ready to announce season 3. We'll announce in that March-April timeframe.
Okay.
And I so wish I could reveal.
Oh, come on.
I know.
No one's going to know.
No, we're not going to tell anybody, are we?
Of course not. Of course
But
not.
if just stay up to date
Yes.
at aetoscenter.net and subscribe to our newsletter.
Yep.
But
Okay,
that's,
give us one hint. Is it going to be the biggest act ever that you've had?
yes.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Is it a band? Or
Is it bigger than a bread box?
Because you guys just don't have, because you guys don't just have bands that come play. Honestly, not a lot of these are bands.
No,
you know,
it
so-
kind of depends on what's available, and
Yeah.
that's kind of and that's what we're feeling out right now. It's one we're kind of letting people know we exist, and then when we're talking to these groups, and it's learning a lot of the productions they're booking out now into 2025, and so you've got your theater shows and everything else.
They've got a plan for a whole year.
And so concerts, those touring concerts, they're booking out 6 months in advance.
Oh, okay.
And so
So you'll have some pop up
so
along the way.
we can book some production shows now, and then we kind of have to have that space for the bands that are going to come through. So we're talking about some bands that are coming, they're just now talking about shows to come through in that
October.
even May, June, July.
Oh, May. Oh, wow.
And stuff,
that's quick.
so those are those things that we kind of learning how just the entertainment industry
So are you
works.
guys? Oh, and that's
That's a whole nother.
I mean, but
thing.
that is super cool that you get to be in the forefront of that, learning that as you go. Let me know if you need some help.
Well, just
I'm
think
glad
of what,
to. Yeah,
think what all the
you're-
Nixa kids are getting, experience are getting. I mean, they could be the people running these venues in the next
and
10, 15 years.
And
That's
so
it.
what's happening on the behind the scenes, our students are working these shows.
Yeah.
And so our our teachers and staff are helping. We've
Almost free labor, so that's good.
no, we're paying them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we really
Okay.
are. Yeah, it's
Cool.
crazy.
Hey,
I know.
good.
And so
Even better.
It's even better. I know, it's crazy. But they're getting this real world experience, and then they're able to put on their resume that they worked this national production. And some of these productions have said that our students have been the best stage crew that they've had.
That's awesome.
And so
Yeah.
and we're like, what? And they're like, no, we're legitimately not just saying that.
Wow.
But
That's
they're-
huge, though.
And so, but it's been really cool for them to Colin Mockery from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah, love him.
He was there this last February.
with his son. Is that
No,
right?
it was Assad Mekki. He was a hypnotist.
That's
and
what
everything.
it was.
And so,
I bet
but,
that was hilarious.
But
though.
it was insane. But but Colin backstage was just sitting and talking with our students and giving them
Oh,
this
man.
sage advice. And so they're
Dude, these kids are getting to
they're
know
getting
these
this crazy
celebrities
thing.
and
Yes.
stuff. Holy
And so so the
smokes.
normal thing now is I hung out with Colin Mockery about
Man.
that's not normal.
Bill Townsend, where you at?
And so, but it's because
I mean, I want to say that's why we created the podcast. We don't have those famous people on here
Yes.
but
Yeah,
we need to be
eventually-
on your list when they come to town to promote them.
So, well, you know what? But the more people we're able to bring in, the more opportunities there are to
for
you know,
everybody.
for everybody.
And that's the cool thing, yeah. It's not the students get this first-hand experience, the community gets the experience, everybody in the region gets the experience.
Yeah.
I mean,
But-
it's
but-
and you
just-
get to see
it's a
something you
win-win.
normally wouldn't see.
Yeah.
Right,
Which
but-
is the best part.
But the thing too is we're bringing people in from 14 states in Canada. I'm still saying that.
and that's in your first year.
And yeah, first year,
First 10 months.
Yeah, I know it's crazy, but they're coming to the Ozarks and they're learning what all the Ozarks that it's about
best
here,
part.
and so
Which is amazing.
Maybe
Yeah.
then they want to come back. They want to come back to Springfield or Branson or the region or something, go to the
maybe
lakes or
invest
whatever.
in the
Or invest,
area
or like
something.
they're looking
Or just
for
make it an annual trip.
you know, like staying connected.
Come and see the
everything.
sites.
Exactly.
So I know we're actually getting close to time. So
man.
I know Matt probably has another question to ask you, but I want to ask you specifically, like, what are the future plans? Like, what's the 10-year plan for Aetos? Where do you see this going?
Well,
Metallica
we're
and
making it
stuff.
up as we go. So really, our ultimate goal for this is to have just a consistent place that people think of when they think of entertainment in the Ozarks. We're one of those top of mind reference. Like, I need to go get online and see who's playing at Aetos. Like, it's fun. Like,
because you have those lists in your head.
Yeah.
You've got, the Great Southern Arena now. Used to be JQH. You've got the
Hammond's Hall,
then
Galois,
you've got Galois.
Shrine Moss.
And, honestly, Shrine slips my mind anymore. Aetos has taken that fourth spot because you guys do a really phenomenal job of advertising, number one. But you've got a whole community excited about what's going on, too. And that buzz is it's priceless. Yeah. Because now you've got this pride of all these people that are like, hey, I'm from Nixa. I talk about the Aetos Center, and people are like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, no,
you're like, here's a flyer.
Yeah. You'd be really surprised at all the acts they've got coming through. And that's where it does your job for you eventually, And I think it's super awesome that you're in the front of it. But the other thing I wanted to say was that when I was there, my niece and nephew are very heavily involved in the theater department, Madeline and Maddox. And Madeline was the Good Witch in The Wizard of Oz. She did such a killer job too. I'm not partial. She really did do a killer job on it. But what was cool that I didn't think about with the stretch that you guys have or the reach that you guys have is the fact that they have a kids theater department as well.
Oh, cool.
So there was 50, 60 kids that came
and
up
that
on
was
that
actually
stage?
small, like comparatively. They did, like, last year they did a production with like 100 and something kids in it.
Holy smokes.
So what this is doing is this is pushing the arts from choir, band, and theater. This is pushing the arts down into that elementary level to where there's an arts integration into that elementary level. And so the kids are getting exposed to art. And our goal, even with that, is like all the second graders get to go to a show at Aetos.
Yeah.
All the fourth and sixth graders come into a high school production.
Okay.
So, like,
and what you're doing too is you're creating this
culture.
When you're in grade school, you can think to myself, oh, I can actually take this seriously.
Yeah.
Because I could end up going to the high school and working at this Aetos theater where I get connected with these national acts and actually move forward with my career.
And
not that you're thinking that it's
builds
second
a
grade,
dream,
but-
though. You're building a dream.
We don't know what the kids' homes lives are like.
Yes.
And if
Give them
they've
an
never
escape.
been exposed to the arts before, they don't know that that's possible. But it's the same thing. They don't know that fly fishing is possible. They don't know that archery is possible.
It's
They don't
another
know.
option, though.
It's just another thing that they can do. And really, our goal as educators is to expose kids to different things to find what makes them tick and what makes that fire inside of them just light up, and then give them that pathway to go and be successful in whatever that is. That's the ultimate thing of why we exist, and this is just another tool that we have to be able to do that.
Man, I think that's the best way to end this, really,
I was gonna say,
because that's where the rubber meets the road, essentially, and especially in a growing community like we have been for the past 30 years. Now you've got all these people that are moving from other areas, and I know even Nixa, one example would be just the special education department for Nixa. Lots of kids that their parents are like, I'm fed up with the school systems we keep going to for our kid. Now they're specifically hearing about Nixa, even though they live in Washington State.
Yes.
And they're like, we're moving our family because we want our kid to thrive. And you guys are giving that to them as well. But now you're talking about something that you're going to spur something in so many kids because the arts can vary so widely.
Just like 10 years from now, we will have even more Broadway stars, or we'll have theater, like movie stars or whatever,
or
coming out of
better
Nixa.
yet, just a thriving theater scene in Springfield,
Yes.
where you can actually get a paying job doing the arts for a living.
Isn't that crazy?
That would be the most, to me, that would be the most amazing.
That was
thing.
unheard of when we were in
I
high
know,
school, though.
but, like,
you
that's-
had to go to New
It's
York.
still kind of it's still kind of unheard of now, but it's building
There's
with stuff
10 years.
Yes.
with stuff like Aetos, with things that I'm helping to work on with the local community, SRAC. I mean, everybody, we're working towards that, and it's becoming more and more of a success.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just an example of a guy that I know that's from the area. I think he went to Nixa. I can't remember right now, but he travels around the United States, and he is one of the biggest stage setup crews that you can find in the business. He literally goes out for these big, huge name acts like Rolling Stones, Metallica, and sets up their sound stages for them 3 days before they show up.
And now our high school students are doing that.
Exactly, right? So maybe you've got, and that guy's local, which I never would have thought somebody local would be doing that, but now he's doing that. But now you've got such an opportunity for this culture that you've created that there's going to be nothing but good things.
I'm excited for it.
Zach.
I'm very excited.
It's this region is artsy region, and like you said, and it's like it's just they say we want this stuff, and we just have to make sure that we have the opportunity to provide it, and that's what's been really cool.
And that's a big shout out to the Meridian Title and Jeremy and Emily Burcham. Thank you guys for supporting something like this, because it wasn't cheap to do. Continues to probably not be cheap, but from the bottom of our hearts, thank you guys because of your hearts. And they have kids in the Nixa school system too. But Zach, watching you thrive through this and grow into this thing, because I've been watching you over the years, and I'm like, what do they have them doing now? What do they have them doing now? And then I go to see the Wizard of Oz, and you're literally the guy that's sitting there handing out the will call tickets. And I was like, dang, man, they just have you doing everything, man. So, Zach, thank you so much for being here, man. We really appreciate it. We'll keep checking in with you with the Aetos Performing Center.
I'll see you. I can get on your couch or on your bench.
Let's do that on the bench. The bench. But we do appreciate it. We'll check in with you again and have you come back, and we'll talk next season or something like that.
Thanks. Perfect.
Cool. Thank you, Zach. Everybody else, keep exploring the Ozarks. Thanks again for listening to Exploring the Ozarks. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our social media channels to help us keep exploring the stories of the Ozarks. If you're looking for more ways to support our show, we have sponsorships for businesses and Patreon for individual supporters. Check the links in the description for more details. Thanks for your support, and keep exploring the Ozarks.